the Businessmen and Women of Color podcast. I am your host, Ann Austin, and it is once again my pleasure to bring quality programs to all of you. I am excited, again, with another amazing professional all the way from Brazil this time, who is also doing a form of career transition and information for folks. So I am so excited to be talking to him today. So stay tuned and listen to this interview. 2018 is utterly amazing with all of these people that do such amazing things. You just have to listen to the podcast to see what I'm talking about and why I am so excited. And they all recognize that in 2018, this is the time to step up and share what you do. So if you have missed this year's season, make sure that you check in with us at the end of the year for the call of speakers for the 2019 BMWOC. The purpose of the podcast is to not only share our industry information, but we are encouraging you, the career seekers, to enter their line of work and see what's going on and the changes in the industry. There is a lot of information to take from this podcast this year, so make sure you take advantage of it because you cannot get it anywhere else but the BMWOC. Before we get started, we would like to thank our corporate partners and sponsors who are Cat Sereno LLC, Cheryl Wood and Powers, Concern and Learning, Evangelism Radio, Genesis Preferred Solutions, J Coach International, Nels Tax Help, My Financial Home, Power, STCI, and the student teacher, along with our other business partners and sponsors, and everyone who is participating in this event. So today we have Marcos Simeos, all the way from Sao Paulo, Brazil, and he just loves career transition and education. So his technologies and his knowledge helps him work with people to understand how they need to formulate their careers for the next step. In his background, he has worked 10 years with several technology projects in Brazilian companies, segments of industrial automation and control, business management, and business travel. And so he is currently working as a career transition from a technical analysis project. But he is going to be here to tell us all about his specialty because it's so different. And I would love to do that. So, Marcos, help me explain what you do.
Hello, and
Yes. Help me explain what you do. So go ahead and introduce yourself again, just briefly about, where you from specifically in Brazil, and how did you get into this career?
okay, let me explain that. So I am Marcos Simeos. I am from São Paulo, Brazil. In fact, I live in the countryside of the state of São Paulo. It's not the capital itself. And I've been working with IT, information technology, for the last 10 years. As like you said, these sectors of industrial sectors, business travel sector, and I love technology at all and how we are impacted by them. And working with technology, I understood that the to be successful, we need to understand how to interact with others, how to understand human behavior, and how to lead people in order to achieve projects and to achieve our goals. And then I started studying human behavior. So I started with a technology, a science called Neuro-Linguistic Program, so NLP. And then I find out to discover another methodology that I love today, that it's called coaching. So now, today, I am a coach who helps experienced professionals to perform a career transition where they can understand what they have to do to change their situations. If they are not happy, they are not satisfied by what they are doing, they can find another way, another plan to change their reality of professional of their lives at all. So that's basically what I do, generally
Okay.
speaking.
Okay, so I want to go back in time a little bit. So, as you were growing up, or maybe through school, was any of the behavior analysis, because you mentioned that you just became fascinated with studying human behavior, was that a part of, your upbringing, or being fascinated with those type of things, and that's how it manifests in your job as an IT professional and learning how to deal with all sorts of people?
Yes, because working with IT it's a job that I call very analytical. So you have to understand how computer works, how to program, how to code, how to connect systems with each other. So it's something structured, it's something step by step that you have procedures, you have rules to follow. But when it comes to people, the scenario is different. You need to understand only behavior but feelings, how people decide, how they came to a conclusion. So it's more subjective. When computer is more objective, it's more practical. So it's different, different approaches. And when we are working with projects in IT, we are talking about people at all, because technology is only the way we use to connect people, to solve problems regarding communication, regarding information, to help people perform better. So it's really, really important to understand how people
Yeah.
act
Mhm.
and how people think. So
Mhm.
that's why and how I became enthusiastic
Mhm.
about this studying.
The studying. Okay. So I believe in our earlier conversation when we set up your interview, you mentioned that there wasn't a lot of people doing what you do out there in Brazil. What has been the impact of you just doing career transition out there where you are? And what other things that people are doing in terms of, learning more about their careers?
Uh, what I said is about the coaching scenario here in Brazil. This methodology is getting more known right now here in Brazil. And one of the reasons is that we have been facing a very difficult economic recession last years. So based on that, a lot of people try to find another way of doing their jobs. They starting getting a word about their jobs. They want to change. So in order to change, coaching brings people another solution, because there's a lot of people in need of this kind of service, and there's very few people doing that. So for the whole understanding, since 2013 to 2018 today, 5 years, we have a growth of more than 300% of coaches in our markets. So it's a huge increase of professionals who are working with coaching right now. So that's what I basically said.
Okay. All right. Fabulous. And so one of the questions I had was with that increase that you have in coaching in Brazil, do you find that coaching that we do in the US is different from what you guys do in Brazil? So that, and the reason why I asked that question, because we have tons and hundreds of thousands of coaches in the US, and a lot of times they want to do things on a global level. So, is there a major difference between the coaching for career transition that you do that is potentially different from those who are doing coaching in the US?
Talking about the methodology itself, I don't see that it's a lot of different, because the concepts are basically the same. To be honest, I am my qualification was in a institution that is global, so it's basically the same that it's applied to US and to Brazil. But when you consider about career, there are some things that are most common here in Brazil, I believe. So we have to understand how the market is formed and how opportunities are created that it can differ from a country to another. But the methodology itself, how we apply the tools, the questions, and the whole agenda of coaching, it's basically the same.
Okay, fabulous. Okay, so with the recession that you mentioned in Brazil, how effective has career transition methods been in your country in terms of helping them find new jobs and facing the challenges of a recession or maybe coming out of a recession? What are some of the advice that you give to your clients when you're helping them?
We need to think that the recession is not something that's going to be forever. And then people are just looking for a faster solution because they're not happy. They are in urge of getting money. So it's not how that works, because I want with transition to work with a transition that it's permanent. It's something that you can be resilient even though there's a crisis out there or not. So the first advice that I give them is to calm down. Let's plan. Let's put on a paper. Let's decide what is that so important for you. What the steps that you must take in order to perform this whole transition. It's not something like tomorrow you have all your life okay, perfect. So you need to understand that there's a process. That's something that you must learn, something that you must find new information. You have to study, you have to work hard. So sometimes people just think that it's a magic pill that they will take, and then their whole life and their whole job will be okay from another day to from one day to another. But we have to change the whole mindset behind that first, so they will be able to perform a transition that it's permanent. It's something that they, even though they want to change over again their life, they will be able to do that because they learned the process.
Okay, fabulous. And I had to ask you that question because you have a similar background in IT and also career transition. Now, are you still working as an IT professional still in addition to the career transition aspect?
No, not at all. I finished my last IT project last year,
Mhm.
and then I decided to work with career transition full time.
Okay. All right. So what specifically did you do in terms of information technology? Because you do have that interesting background. And so for those folks out there that are IT professionals that have come into experiences where they are helping with careers and may even turn into a career transition coach, let's talk about your IT background and what you did there for 10 years.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, because I performed the career transition before, during my IT professional, I was a programmer and a system analyst. So I coded programs in order to achieve goals of the company. And then I decided to be a project manager. So that's when I looked for a coaching program. This coaching program helped me a lot in order to perform this change in my career. I was able to be fit as a project manager, and 1 year later, I was already working as a project manager. So because of that, I could see the power of looking inside of us to understand how we work, the self knowledge at all, and how we can create strategies to change. So I performed that in my career in IT. So it was before being formed as a coach.
Mhm.
So right over there, I saw the power of changes, how we perform changes.
Yeah, and it's funny how you mentioned that, even not just our profession, but other professions too, that whenever we're in a position where we are cultivating change and looking for strategies to improve, how we end up using those methodologies in our own life. And we end up doing things that we didn't even think that we'll be doing before, right? So it's
Yeah.
amazing how that happens. And I think it's really important for anyone to take any kind of strategic planning class. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, even if you work in, at McDonald's, just doing that, because I found it very helpful for me to learn how to strategize effectively in a way that affects me in my business and in a positive way. Don't you think so?
Yes, I perfectly agree with you. And I think the change starts when you feel uncomfortable. If something is not good, you don't feel that things are going good. So this feeling of being uncomfortable leads you to find new ways to solve your problem. So that's when the magic starts to happen, because that moment you are open to new ideas. Because if you are comfortable at all, maybe you're not trying to find new ways of improving, because sometimes you don't have the reason of why you're doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, are you involved in any conferences, or do you do any kind of workshops or webinars in which people can also connect with you about career transition information?
Uh, for now, my business is is starting with a website. I have a website, and it's all in Portuguese only right now. But in the near future, I want to create a set of pages and programs that maybe can affect people worldwide. But for now, it's only in Portuguese. And I have a website. I have some videos recorded on YouTube. I have an ebook. I have an articles about career transition.
Mm-hmm.
And now I am working as a coach, helping people make their strategies to perform career transition through Skype. So I have a program of 10 sessions that I follow people during 3 to 6 months in order to help them achieve their career transition.
Okay, let's talk about this ebook that you have. I didn't know you had an ebook. So, what is the name of your book? And give us a little bit of nuggets about what's in the book.
So the title of this ebook is 10 Steps to Perform a Career Transition to be entrepreneur. So that's the title of this ebook in Portuguese. And in this book, I explain some concepts that made sense for me in my whole life, about education, about the importance of taking time to know yourself better, and then find new references. Because of that, you can be able to perform a career transition. And during these 10 steps, I give them examples. So let's think about, you want to be a consultant that in financial markets. So, but you're not, you don't have background at all in this area. And then you need to understand how will you be 10 years from now. So describe your life 10 years from now. And that's the kind of exercise that provokes you to make create the details in your brain. So how does that look like? How who are with you right at the moment? What abilities do you have at the time? So because when you dream about it in your head, it's easier to put them in a paper and then decide to plan it rationally, to put your rational mind to work with you. So when we start the other way around, it's harder because you only see the problems that you have. You only see the present
Mhm.
moment.
Yeah.
And sometimes you cannot find a way of thinking about your future. So it's a different approach. It's basically what I described in this ebook.
Nice, nice. Okay, and I love that it always goes back to journaling and writing down your goals, really looking at it, put it up on the board, put it on the refrigerator, make it big so that you can see your goals and remind you of what you need to do. I actually have a whiteboard here in my bedroom and we put all our plans on there. So when I get up in the morning, I see it. When I come in the room, I see it. So
Yeah,
it's a constant reminder and it kind of helps motivate me so that it doesn't get in the back burner. And I love the fact that you put it in a book where people can actually look at it, know the steps, and then they can write down what they need to do and then act on it. And so I really love that. So okay, you're going to give me the link to your ebook, which is in Portuguese. Doesn't matter. We're going to have this on your page because I want people to be able to click on it and order it from you and maybe even talk to you about getting it in English if you have it in English at some point. But we definitely would love to have more information about that because what you have is definitely a different approach to career transition with the coaching aspect along with that. And so I really appreciate that as a fellow career strategist myself. I like to see different ways that we can help people either get their job or retain their job. And that's really important. So we're getting down to the end of your interview. Give everybody your contact information so that we can start having that. And then I'm going to ask you if you wanted to give someone three pieces of advice to do what you do. What would those pieces of advice be?
okay, thank you. For sure, I will send you the link for the ebook,
Mhm.
and my contacts are my website, marcsimões.com.br. I will send that as well. And I have an appointment page where people can schedule an appointment with me through Skype. So they are able to get in contact with me. And my email is contato at marcsimões.com.br. I will send you as well. And then the three advices that you asked me. First of all, I think we are always learning. So we don't have to think that we have already known everything we could in our lives. So it's not because I am graduated that I am a master, that I have a master degree in something that I know everything. So being humble, it's the key to always keep growing. That's something that I really believe. So that's my first advice. Always keep learning. And the second one, be with people who are better than you. So when you are with people that are better than you, uh, you have an impulse of growing because you don't want to be behind that. So uh, every time that I was with people who are better than me, I grow a lot. So it's something that I learned for my whole personal experience and something that I know for sure that works a lot. And my last advice that will be if you need assistance or support, go ahead and find someone who are able to help you. It's about being humble once again, but when you find a mentor, a coach, a leader, somebody that can help you achieve your goals, it will become easier for you to grow in a short period of time. So these three advice, I hope that people can apply to their lives that will make a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And so thank you so much for sharing all this information. And again, people who are listening to this podcast, you have Marcos, you have me, you have so many people on here who focus and specialize in career transition we have helped numerous people understand what we need to do to be prepared for the job market, whether it be recession, unemployment, termination, whatever you have. And so it's really, really important for for you to understand that we don't all know it all. So it's just best to just get a coach to help you walk through it, have them look at your resume to make sure that your skills and your background is aligned with what you're trying to do. And also kind of look at the coaching aspect that Marcos talked about as far as the human behavior and how this is changing as we are changing ourselves. And every year that goes by, there's another, not maybe not years, but I would say a number of years that the generation changes. And so the management style changes. And so I want to implore everybody to really just listen to what these experts are saying here and to reach out to them and ask your questions about what you can do to better yourself. And so, Marcos, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast and really, giving your expertise. I love what you're doing right now. I want to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. And I want to learn more for what you're doing because I like your ideal too. I think I need to get a life coach certification so that I can really get into the human behavior. But I really do appreciate you being on the podcast and sharing your information.
Thank you very much, and I hope that I'm be useful to who are listening to us. And I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation, and I'm here to help.
Awesome.
Wow.